strong Irish mommy vibes there. Like, you could walk out the door and get hit by a bus. You just never know.
Welcome back to the Spin Cycle Podcast, everybody. I'm Kaylee Fretz. Today on the show, Oscar Onley is offski. Red Bull Bora Hansgrohe are flying a plane glider. And Ronan is here to talk about tires. Let's get to it. Well, we already mentioned you, Ronan. Welcome to the show. Welcome back. We haven't had you in a while.
I almost did it. I'm back, baby.
You've done it now.
You have done it now. Welcome back. Welcome back. It's good to have you back on the show. Also joining us today, Johnny Long.
Happy Friday, one and all.
Happy Friday. And Dane Cash.
Hello. Also, happy Friday. Going third, it's a hard way to. I can't come up with anything to say. I don't know. Like, there's nothing.
Guys,
left
I hate to break it to you. It's Thursday.
we can't reveal this.
Oh.
It is, but you touching your microphone and it crangling in my ears has transported me straight to Friday.
Okay.
We got lots to talk about today. The reason we've got Ronan on here today is because we are going to talk a fair amount about tire testing and the story that went up this week. You may have already heard a very long interview with Ronan on this topic. But we're gonna just it's not that we're gonna dumb it down. We're just gonna spin cycleize it a little bit, make it slightly more digestible, I think is really the goal. And we're gonna try to come away with this with Johnny Long understanding Ronan's tire testing. That's the end goal of today's segment. But before we get there, I feel like we've had this on the run sheet too often. Things are looking weird at Picnic-PostNL. Johnny, what's going on here?
Well, yeah, things have looked weird at Picnic-PostNL for a while, but now they're weird in a bad way. Like in an objectively bad way, whereby we get the list of the World Tour licenses and the teams and the confirmation stuff like that, and then there was the stipulation in there that Picnic-PostNL had 1 year World Tour licenses for both men's and women's team, which was due to financial issues, I guess is a way to say it, while it's not necessarily known, but basically not enough money to guarantee the 3 years. Which then speaks, and we've known for a while that they've chopped and changed sponsors a bit, but that's not necessarily a bad thing. But we know they've always operated with one of the smaller budgets in the peloton. But this news kind of informs the rumours that have been going around about the future of Oscar Onley, who is apparently, he said himself that he had 15 teams calling up him, his team, his agent, trying to get him after his 4th place of the Tour. Great for him. And Ineos are the assumed front runners. Whether that
He had 15
happens,
teams ring him, and then he picked Ineos.
maybe the most money to offer, or they could offer the program. They can say tomorrow you can go to the Tour de France as our protected leader, because yes, we could still be going along the Carlos Rodriguez project or the Egan Bernal project, but Oscar only finished 4th. It looked pretty good. Seems to have a high ceiling. But Ineos being assumed front runners also doesn't really mean anything, because they've been the assumed front runners a lot of times before. So maybe he goes there, maybe he doesn't. But Dan Benson did report that Onley wasn't at the Picnic-PostNL camp, which
he did just get back from Australia.
Yeah,
he's jet lagged
for 2 days. Yeah, usually cycling teams aren't that forgiving, though. Usually it's just like we go here at this time, and
then you come back and you ride your bicycle. Yeah.
I don't know.
I mean, so there's 2 different stories here. One is the potential Oscar Onley to Ineos story, which I actually kind of like. I think it's good. That makes some sense. I would say it kind of somewhat reignites the sort of narrative around Ineos, maybe in some way. But the more concerning of the 2 stories is the Picnic-PostNL story. I mean, for the UCI to decide that you only get 1 year of World Tour license, they must have seen something in that paperwork that was pretty concerning,
and
quite concerning.
I think it must have been quite concerning, because how many other teams can't guarantee their financial future for 3 years? Like, how many other teams have title sponsors for 1 more year or 2 more years, but not 3? And Visma lost how much money this year, if I remember a headline recently?
Yeah, it was like
so it must have been something more than just oh, your title sponsor's only committed for however long it is.
And it's a little surprising too. I think this is a team that, while they've never been a UAE level team, they've also been. It's felt pretty stable. You know, it's not like Arkea. Like it's not. They've had sponsor issues, but it's not like you're thinking they're on death's door. So yeah.
And that's kind of part of it with the Oscar Onley thing for me as well. Is like, okay, he can go to Ineos and be the designated leader for the Tour, but he could stay at Picnic-PostNL and be designated leader for the Tour in a setup that has delivered him in potential of being on the podium. So either it's presumably just the money at Ineos that is the attraction.
I mean, he probably wants more because he probably is on a contract that doesn't really reward him for being fourth overall at the Tour. Right, and so if he can get that from somewhere else, as we've discussed on the show before, contracts in Europe are, are they contracts? Suggestions.
Sorry, the American ones mean even less now.
No,
yeah, true.
No.
It depends.
No.
I think one of the things about this team is that we're still blinded by one really good Tour de France, right? So they had the 2020 Tour, right? Which is 2020. This is a long time ago. 2020 Tour de France. They won 3 stages, remember? And they did so with this kind of, young riders on the up kind of situation. And so we started to think of them as this very effective development team. But I actually haven't done that much since then. I would still say that they kind of do better than their budget would suggest.
Yeah,
I mean,
sure.
fourth at this year's Tour is still great, but we've also heard all these other weird stories about Tom Dumoulin not being allowed to eat a kiwi and other things like that. And so I do think that 2020 Tour where they were exceptional, right? Like not only did they win those 3 stages, but they were all over the place. They were in every single breakaway. They were animating the whole race. And I think for those of us that were watching the race then, it still skews in my head the sort of effectiveness of this team in a positive way. And I think that actually, if we take the last couple of years, they've batted sort of slightly above average, and they've definitely found a couple other pieces of talent, but they have not been able to hang on to them. And more importantly, if you're the GM of this team, they haven't been able to turn those good results or those kind of above average for their budget results into more budget, which is sort of the whole point. If that's your role, if your role is to go find more sponsorship and go build this team into something bigger, like they need more money to be able to hang on to any of these talented riders. That's been shown over and over and over again, and thus far the team has not been able to do that.
For reference, they had 4 wins this year.
4.
I mean, 4 wins on the year. Yeah, it's been rough.
The hosts of this podcast have almost as many wins, right? The 4 of us.
Ronan, yeah.
You're saying we have as many people as they have wins.
Okay.
I'm saying our zero wins
for each of us.
Our 0 wins isn't that far away from their 4 wins.
Yeah.
Is that the lowest score, let's call it, in the World Tour?
It must be.
Is it? That's going to take me at least 2 minutes to dig up that information.
I'll buy you a bit of time there because that kind of gets to the point that I didn't make so well about Oscar Onley maybe choosing Ineos right now is because if he is aware of something within the team that suggests it's maybe not all that stable, there are no guarantees he's going to finish 4th again in the Tour next year, or 3rd, or even top 10. Now is the moment that you need to strike while the iron is hot.
That's a really important point. I mean, we have heard. I'm not going to mention any names here. 1, because we haven't run one of these stories, and 2, because I don't know, some of these are sort of on background kind of conversations, but we've heard of a number of riders who sort of had one result like that, right? A podium at the Vuelta or a top sort of 6-7 at the Tour de France, and that gets you €1 million contract, plus, right? And I guarantee you, he is not on that right now. So you do have to strike while the iron's hot, and more importantly, we've also seen from some riders that have done that 3 years later, that's not the contract that they would get. Right. So if he waits for the end of his contract, then he may lose that opportunity for, a 7-figure contract.
Which is, maybe don't go down this rabbit hole, but it gets back to the point that Jonathan Butters has made so many times is like, we need a transfer market. I think he's made that point. Apologies if he hasn't, but
I'm sure
could
he
you
has.
secure
Yeah.
could you secure a team like DSM's future? Sorry, they're not DSM anymore. Picnic-PostNL.
Sunweb.
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 Giant Alpha.
Giant Alpecin.
Yeah, there we go.
Could the future of that team be secured, and also allow a rider like Onley, who has just leveled up in this way, to cash in, if an Ineos has to pay for his
That'd be
services?
great.
That would be great.
Yeah.
I mean, think about all the riders that they've moved through, right? And right now, it's seen as a negative. It's seen as them losing this rider.
They
Because it
literally
is.
just lost the best young rider at the Tour de France Femme, this week.
Nico Mingo went over to SD Works, right? And if they were profit, so the only team that I can think of was really just Gianni Savio, who's been very good at this, where he would go find riders in like Colombia, he would put them on his development team, and then he would sell them to Ineos, right? Like that.
He wasn't a World Tour team,
and he made millions of euros doing this, millions of euros, right? But he figured it out. Picnic-PostNL has not figured it out, or there isn't the structures within the sport to make that a viable option. But it would start to sort of like, if you're looking for ways to funnel money from the top of the sport, from the UAEs and the Ineoses, and even like the little Treks and stuff, down to some of these other teams, that is absolutely a means of doing it. It has its own issues, and I think it would be somewhat difficult to sort of fully get off the ground for a number of different reasons in cycling in particular. But I like the idea. Plus, purely for our benefit, like a real transfer window and transfer drama would be so much fun.
I mean,
it would be good for the.
Dan Benson would be doing cartwheels in his garden if this news, if this happened. He'd love it.
Yeah, our very own. What's the Fabrizio Romano? Who's the other one?
Yeah, that is him.
Yeah.
I've got an answer to your question, Ronan.
There we go. We gave Dane enough time to go figure it out.
Yes, great job. Joined in ignominy with 4 wins.
Oh no,
Intermarché Wanty. None of those wins for Intermarché were World Tour. So Picnic at least has two of their wins were at least at the highest level. So Intermarché.
And they were one of the stories of the Tour de France. Right? You don't have to win the Tour to be a big story. Like they, so I think that they come out well ahead.
Yeah, Intermarché had a rough year.
Yep. Speaking of having a rough year, Davide Formolo out for 6 weeks after dropping a cup of tea on his foot.
Is he secretly British? This is not an Italian thing. He's clearly.
Yeah, dude. I thought Italians did coffee. What's going on here?
It'll be like a herbal. It'll be a herbal.
Is the British suggestion because he's now on a tea break and how popular cricket is over there, and maybe cricket's a touchy subject for Johnny at the moment.
I borderline enjoy the fact that the English people who are getting up that early in the morning to watch cricket are having a miserable time of it.
I feel like Johnny pays more attention to American football than cricket.
Yeah.
Cricket's good. A couple of times I've been in Australia.
It's fine. You know what? It's fine. There's loads of things that are fine in this world. Like
cricket's good, like baseball's
hill,
good.
Fine.
I will die on this hill, but I don't want our listeners to have to listen to it. So maybe after dark.
Yeah.
Wait. Are we doing baseball v cricket?
I would tell you how much better it is, but that's fine. We can do it.
You're gonna have to explain the difference to me, but anyway, moving on.
All right, we got our after dark. Someone make a note so we don't forget.
Great. Can't wait.
All right, back to Davide Formolo. So he drops a cup of tea. The tea is not the issue. The cup is the issue, right?
Correct.
Drops it on his foot. It shatters and cuts a tendon or something.
Well,
what is it?
We're slim on details here.
Okay.
But Davide Formolo did a whole Instagram thing. I'll read it out to you because it starts off quite poetic before we get to the nitty gritty. Life is strange. There's nothing you can do about it. As a rider, you ride about 30,000 kilometers a year on roads where trucks pass within 2 centimeters of your steering wheel. I presume he just means his handlebars, and it's auto-translated weird. Sorry about that. You also often race downhill on wet roads, like Valentino Rossi at the Mugello circuit. Don't know if I pronounced that right. And then you drop a cup of tea on your foot, resulting in a small cut. It didn't seem like much at first, but I soon noticed I couldn't lift my big toe anymore. I can't do anything at the moment and have to rest for 6 weeks. So that goes your answer to, is he actually British? Because a British person would never explain dropping something on their toe quite so eloquently. There's a photo of him with big cast thing on his foot and he's on crutches.
That is a lovely little bit of writing, and crucially, I don't think it's AI.
Yeah, I think that's.
I don't think it is either. No,
Sounds like him.
I think it's going to take a
which
while.
You see a lot. You see a lot of the sort of the athlete statements
Yeah.
with the hallmarks of AI language, right? And that's not one of them, which I
No.
appreciate. Yeah, I really like Davide Formolo. I really like him. He's a very nice man.
He is a nice man.
Yeah, I chatted with him
Nice.
back when he was at EF. Sat down with him at a team camp, and he would have been like a second or third year pro at this point, and he was just kind of wide eyed and taking it all in. And at that point, it was sort of pointed out as maybe a kind of a top 5 GC rider, which he came close to a couple times. But yeah, he's a lovely human being, and my estimation of him has only increased after his eloquent tea incident post.
Strong Irish mommy vibes there. Like, you could walk out the door and get hit by a bus. You just never know.
That is true.
You could fall down the stairs tomorrow.
For me, it gave it was a different vibe of who was the French rider who got injured celebrating at the end of the Tour de France, or like and had to miss a criterium. Do you remember this? Was it Kevin Vauquelin?
Vauquelin.
Did he get injured? What did he do?
He says that he slipped carrying luggage.
Yes, that was it.
And we're pretty sure he
wasn't
slipped.
Being drunk. He had to
Definitely-
specify he wasn't drunk.
Definitely wasn't coming in or out of the duplex
Yeah.
at 3 a.m. Yeah.
I mean, I do also. We've got the story and we've got the cast, but we don't have the evidence for it definitely being a teacup.
That's true.
That is true.
That's true.
It feels too specific. Like if he just said espresso cup, then people would have been like, "That's too convenient." But the tea kind of distracts you, doesn't it? This is like Richard Plug with the beers all over again.
Size of an espresso cup's unlikely to cause that sort of damage. So
If
I'm
it's like-
thinking
Neither is a
I'm
teacup.
Yeah, neither,
there might actually be
small,
an error in here
Big
because I'm
mug.
thinking it must have been a mug rather than
Yeah,
a
mug,
teacup.
not tea, not like a dainty teacup. No. Well,
We'll put it
Escape
down to
Collective
translation again.
investigates.
We'll get to the bottom of this. All right, let's take a quick break. I do have to remind all of our free listeners, there are ads starting to show up in this podcast. Some people are getting them, some people aren't, but everyone will get them pretty soon. It's sort of a slow ramp up. If you want to avoid those ads, you need to sign up. It's very easy. Head to escapecollective.com/join. Sign up, get on that member feed. The member feed has no advertisements whatsoever. And you can just live your happy ad-free life.
You kind of made it sound like you said everyone will get them at some point. You kind of made it sound like members will get ads, but
Oh, no, members aren't going to get
members
them.
will not.
Yeah. Well, they won't even hear this because we cut this part out for the member feed. So yeah, go ahead over, get escapecollective.com/join. Plus, then you get access to Ronan's tire story that we're going to talk about later. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, Red Bull Bora Hansgrohe Team Camp Extravaganza. Welcome back, everybody. This looked like a fun team camp. If
Yeah.
nothing else, Red Bull seems to be good at this sort of thing. You know,
Finally.
It's very
Yeah.
on brand.
it's very on brand. Like, what weird thing can we do at our team camp? That
Was it at the camp for sure?
well, nearby the team camp.
Okay.
It's the right time of year, right?
Um,
If you're going to have all the riders together, that's why you would have them all together, right?
That's
Other
true.
than just doing plain stunts.
Yeah.
So basically, what happened was they like horses before a cart, lined up all of their bicycle riders with
Dogs.
like snow dogs, like with all optimized bicycles, right? They got rear disc wheels, they got all kinds of stuff going on. I'm not sure that was necessarily
I don't think
needed.
they did.
I thought they did.
No, because
One
the
of
first
them
thing I thought was, why didn't they do it on a Chev? It would have made it easier to get up to speed.
Well, anyway, they line them all up. They're all attached via these like sort of contraptions that are attached to the back of their bikes. It just like took some planning, and then they pulled a plane or glider, maybe more accurately. No, see, look,
Oh,
Isn't that a disc?
Yeah, okay.
Yeah,
Okay,
see?
yeah.
I knew it.
I mean,
All right, we're
I
looking
do
at it
also
right now.
think it would have been even sketchier if they had all been on time trial bikes. So
True.
Yeah, this looks so dangerous.
mm,
Well, is it though? Like
Mm.
the plane's a fair ways behind them.
They're attached to a plane that is taking off, Kaylee.
Any of them, any of them have any incident like that, they're all going down very hard. I feel like this is.
There's also a part of the reel that they put out where you can see at the start the harness, this black bar that we see now between them.
Yeah.
Like they all come falling off, and all the riders are like trying to avoid them like skittles, and it really could have went so badly wrong.
Oh man. Well, anyway, they it's a glider on a plane, right?
Yeah.
And to be specific, because that's obviously a much easier thing to get off the ground. They are working for it though. We're watching the video right now. For those watching on YouTube, they're going for it.
They hit a top speed of 54 kilometers an hour, and they averaged 650 watts for a minute and a half. I think
so that's a lot.
It was.
What I want to know is the wind direction, because if they had a headwind, that would have made it easier for the glider to get off the ground because it's got more airspeed over its wings, but makes it harder for the riders to get up to speed.
Right.
Interesting.
So I'm thinking it would have had to have been a headwind, so the 54 km/h is even more impressive. Perhaps
it's got to be
very little wind, but that was.
They would definitely do a headwind. It's just a fun thing though, right? Like I think this is kind of what we were hoping for when Red Bull showed up in pro cycling. Is we were like, give us some weird Red Bull stuff, and this is a perfect example of a weird Red Bull thing. Like it's irrelevant. It has no bearing on. It's not even like from a physiological perspective, not even that impressive. Of course, these guys can ride a bicycle hard for a minute and a half. Of course they can. It's just good. It's good fun, and it shows up everywhere. And I'm sure it ended up on like a bunch of non-cycling media outlets and stuff like that. And so it's what we're hoping for. And we appreciate it.
I think it is impressive though, because they managed to do an effort like that. No, seriously, like they are.
No, I agree. I'm still laughing about
other, but like they have to be in
it.
sync, and
no, I agree.
The risk of crashing and trying to line everybody up and keep them in order, and
dogs do it all the time, Ronan. I think
Roglic wasn't involved. Did anyone notice?
Well, yeah, of course. You're not putting your superstars underneath a plane, right? In front of a plane.
We need him to be like dragged along on the skis and do a jump. That should be the next one. Oh. I should work for Bull Bora Hansgrohe.
That would be really fun.
It's a good idea.
Well, there's that. There's skijoring, right? Which is you get pulled behind a horse on skis. We've talked about this in the podcast.
Oh, I've just yeah.
So you could do that with Roglic. You could do Roglic being pulled by his own team, literally.
Lifting getting a glider to take off is much more impressive than what we get at this time of year usually, which is bike rider versus horse.
Yes.
No.
Did we get bike rider versus horse this year?
I'm not sure.
I'm sure it happened in Belgium, but it didn't. Break beyond the borders.
All right, so it looks like the wind typically comes out of the west here in Mallorca, and I'm looking at this airstrip, and I'm thinking it is facing the west.
Oh yeah.
So
that's how you design airstrips to get planes off the ground.
Could be a headwind here, just like Ronan's expecting.
Speaking of which, can you hear the plane getting off the ground outside my window right now?
Is it being pulled by?
Well,
you're not there, so it can't be being pulled.
There are no Red Bull riders in sight. I'm just trying to peek. It looks like there may be Red Bull available on board, but there's definitely no Red Bull riders in front of it.
I think they missed a trick here because we're so close to Christmas. They could have put some antlers on the riders and put the pilot in a Santa suit.
Yeah.
What are we doing?
And had the front rider have a red nose.
Yes, exactly.
I reckon Red Bull, because they don't want they're trying to like replace Coca-Cola or whatever, or they don't want to talk about Coca-Cola, and obviously Coca-Cola go big on the whole Christmas thing. They're maybe trying to go for a secular 25th of December where all you do is drink taurine and whatever else is in there.
And jump out of planes and whatever else they want you to do.
I do think it's confusing because Red Bull have had to walk back from the claim that it gives you wings, and now they're like getting a glider with wings to take off. Yeah, it doesn't give you wings; it gives you wings.
Wings. At least 3 eyes. Yeah, minimum 3 eyes in the middle of wings. Should we briefly talk about? The other things that happened at the Red Bull Bora Hansgrohe camp? There's cycling things.
Oh.
There are riders that we want to hear from / about. So Remco Evenepoel is not doing Flanders or the Giro. I think thumbs down to that.
Yeah, it's a drag.
Focusing on a simple year build up to the Tour.
Yeah, at last news, Ronan said that he was going to do one of two things. He was either going to do like a beefed up classics program with either Milan-San Remo and or Flanders, or the Giro. as his run up to the Tour, which I thought was really exciting. I thought that was great. But
I can't
now
picture him doing Flanders.
you don't want that.
No, I want.
He
it,
says
I
he
just
wants to
can't
at some
picture it.
point. Like I think it's on his. He's a Belgian guy. Come on, he's definitely gonna do it at some point. But he definitely this year decided. What did he say? He just wants a normal year, which is kind of a boring. You know,
I understand it though.
I get it.
Yeah.
Had a rough year, coming off an injury last year, or this year, last season, and he's going to this new team, so I think he wants stability, which makes sense. It's just kind of like you're probably not going to win the Tour, so couldn't you have done something interesting?
I bet they're all annoyed by Tadej Pogačar doing all these things. They're like, why? Wouldn't it be nice to just go back to like the Chris Froome era where you just race like twice and then do the Tour de France and then you call it a day?
But people still hate you, so it doesn't make
That's
a difference
true.
if you win
That's
everything
true.
else.
That's true.
It's kind of surprising when you think about it. They've hired this huge engineering team led by Dan Bigham, Johnny Whale, and the others, and then immediately put them to work on figuring out how you can get cyclists to make a glider take off. You would have thought.
Well, it's because they know they're
would have
not
hired
needed until
Remco and
July.
immediately put him to work on, I don't know, Zwift racing.
So he's doing his normal few little Spanish races at the start of the year, including Catalonia, I think. Then Amstel and Liège. Then the whatever the Dauphiné is called now. I'm refusing to call it the other name until forced to by a French
Is it
man. Auvergne-Rhône-Alpes.
Auvergne-Rhône-Alpes.
And then the Tour de France. Then he's going to do the Canadian ones and the World
How long
Championships.
have I been testing tires for?
A long
I
time.
don't know any of this news.
9 months running.
A long time.
Yeah, they renamed the Dauphiné while you were out.
Yeah.
It's a dumb new name. It's a real bad new name.
They did. They
Yeah.
announced
Glad I
it
missed that.
basically as the race finished, so everyone had kind of already moved on, and then snuck it in there. So there's a bit of like what's going on,
Yep.
but it'll hit people properly come like May.
When
Part of the
we-
problem is
when
that
we-
Europeans love hyphens in names, so like all of your regions are like 8 different names with hyphens smashed. Not all of them. I recognize this is not a problem as
Soon,
much in
soon to
Ireland.
be M dashes.
Yeah. No, we are We're an N-dash crew at Escape. So
Yeah.
Are we?
yeah.
The real question for me though, okay, so we got an idea of Remco's schedule, and really it's a very traditional Tour de France buildup. It is a I want to win the Tour de France buildup, right?
And
I
that's
think
what he's
that's
got
safe
to
to say.
say now. He's got to say that
Yeah.
for the next few years.
Not surprising. Primoz Roglic, slightly different scenario. Going for the
Doing
Vuelta.
Flanders.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's got the big one on his mind.
Whoop dee dee.
Yeah.
Gonna win a 5th Vuelta,
Well, it'll be a
Congrats,
record. It would be a
Primoz.
record break, a record-setting achievement.
and everyone wants to see him do that.
It's like Cavendish's Tour de France record, but bigger. I think.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, maybe
Yeah.
actually less annoying than that.
Well,
then
that definitely true.
Roglic was also being pestered about if he's going to retire. People were asking him questions like, "Do you think you'll have to move to like a smaller team after next year?" Like,
So
all
rude.
these rude. The thing is, I don't even like the idea of these media days before Christmas. I find it just very, ungallant for everyone to have to fly to Benidorm to then like just ask riders annoying questions. I think it
It
should be
doesn't
a
sound so
January
bad to
thing.
me, Johnny.
It should
I
be
don't know.
January, like a traditional January, like 9th. Go and ask your annoying questions.
Yeah.
Everyone's already depressed in January, but it's just very unfestive. So it's what I refused every time they message like, "Oh, who wants to come to this thing?" I'm like, "No, like, you know."
We're not doing it.
Anyway, by the by, Roglic replies by insisting that he's still enjoying cycling and that if he had it his way, he'll be racing for 10 more years, which I think is perfect.
Valverde style.
Because it's not true.
I mean, he didn't start till his mid-20s, so maybe he will.
Yeah, he could Philip Rivers it for sure, but we'll see. I think he's just like got so bored of
Johnny
everyone.
just drops these football references out of nowhere. And I'm just like, wow.
I only did it for you, Dane. But yeah, he's not going to race 10 more years, but he's just so sick of the questions.
Yeah.
You know.
But we get a whole nother year of honest Roglic, which is great.
Yeah, I only twigged today how weird it is. And if you told someone like 3 or 4 years ago, oh, in 2026, Roglic and Remco are going to be riding on the same team, you'd never
And
believe
they're both going to be interesting.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's the part I wouldn't have believed. If you had told me
I mean,
3 years ago that Primoz
Remco-
Roglic was going to be interesting,
Oh, yeah, true.
I would not
Remco's
have
always been
believed you.
interesting, yeah.
I would have been like, he is a
Given
fundamentally not interesting person. But I was wrong. I'll take that.
Given the age gap, I don't think it's surprising. I mean, if
That's
we go back
true.
in time, the bigger surprise would have been like Peter Van Petegem and Tom Boonen were teammates, which was at one point
deep
just
cut.
unthinkable.
Deep historical cut there, Ronan.
So
Yeah.
there is precedence.
Ralph Dank. Should we get Ralph Dank's opinion?
Yeah.
Let's get Ralph. So Ralph Dank says Ineos lacks leadership.
Yeah, this is
lacked. Is this past tense only?
I think it's lacked. I think he's
okay. Well, they got Geraint Thomas now.
He's pulling
so.
punches slightly.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, fuck yeah. Because Ralph Dink is sitting there with Zach Dempster next to him, who's like going to be one of his main DSs. Also got Ollie Cookson, who's another Ineos DS. You've got Dan Bigham already there, who's ex-Ineos performance guy who Ineos let slip through their fingers. And then apparently they're also getting the head coach of Ineos, Javier Ate. I don't know how to pronounce it.
Is he coming back to cycling?
Yeah. Apparently he's coming to Bull Bora Hansgrohe. So
He's
it's basically
Carlos Sainz Jr.'s personal coach at the moment.
Oh. Well, there we have it. I did not know that. But yeah, so it's basically it's an Ineos fest over at Bull Bora Hansgrohe. Also, the team started in the same year. So Ralph Denk, Ralph Denk was asked that question, like, is it satisfying now to see like where your team's at, with the implication being, and then Sky have had their time and then it's gone. But in terms
but at the same time, Sky has still done significantly more than he has in the last.
That is, and Ralph Denk did say that, but then he was saying about having signed all these guys from Ineos. He said maybe, and this is just a feeling from my side, there was not really a proper leadership in the last years there, and that's why the guys decided to move on and join another project. But I can't really give you an answer why they left Ineos. But the fact is they were considering to leave Ineos. But he did kind of give us an answer. He thinks it's because
that's the answer. I mean, he would have had extensive conversations with each of these individuals about why they would want to leave Ineos and why they would want to come to Red Bull, and so he knows the answer to that question.
He would have been,
and I think he gave us a hint.
He'd have been there smiling.
Was there any mention of the fact that they're not the new Sky, that UAE are the dominant team?
Don't tell them that. Do not scare away the Red Bull money.
Yeah, but UAE flew 0 planes this week.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I mean,
they have a gold statue.
One of their sponsors is like one of the biggest airlines in the world.
That's true.
Can we talk a little bit? It's not really change the subject, just slightly, but can we talk about how they're like very committed, at least in their PR language, to a two-pronged approach to the Tour de France?
Yes,
which I think is really interesting. I don't think it's really going to be that two-pronged, but in their press release, I was really impressed by the language that they used to describe that Remco Evenepoel and Florian Lipovitz, who of course was just third of the Tour de France. Good rider, right? For Red Bull Bora Hansgrohe, they would become true wingmen, two riders who together can unlock entirely new tactical possibilities at the Tour. So they're going to be truly wingmen. They're going to be truly sharing leadership at the Tour de France.
Yeah.
Did you spell wing?
Like Ice and Maverick.
One eye. Just one eye.
So
yeah.
they mean,
call up the lawyers.
Just like Ice and Maverick, a known great wingman. Don't ask Goose.
The unlock a whole new tactical thing. They're just trying to copy what Visma did a couple years ago. So it's not new.
And they might end up copying what Movistar has done historically.
Oh.
No, they need another one.
They need a third.
Yeah. For a Trident, yeah. They could go Trident. They could go full Trident. I think Trident makes more sense, particularly never go full Trident. Particularly with Roglic saying he wants to do the Volta. I think the Trident is out the window, unfortunately. But the Tudent is still a possibility, which we can look forward to.
Tudent. Yes, I'm here for the Tudent.
The one other thing I want to talk about coming out of this camp was, did any of you see the photo that Cycling News had up of a fully instrumented bike, Tarmac SL8 that Red Bull had wired up with accelerometers and all sorts? Like I've been trying to find out what's going on there. I haven't had any confirmation yet, but I do think there could be, and perhaps I'm just drinking Kool-Aid here, but I'm interested to see what sort of leveling up Remco can do this year. Obviously, he's been on the podium before. Lipowicz on the podium this year, but in reality, they were nowhere near beating Pogacar. But I kind of have a sense that actually all these little things might start adding. I'm not going to use that phrase, but you know what I'm hinting at here.
You're talking about this thing?
I'm talking about that thing, yeah.
I saw that and just immediately just scrolled on.
So those are all small improvements, is what you're saying, Ronan.
No. I mean, like, yeah, like
Kelly, you're muted.
a lot of these things happen and nothing ever comes of them. But I have a stronger sense with this team and with the setup they have in place now, and similarly with Tudor, that they are now looking at things that other teams, other manufacturers have never even considered. And I'm hearing unrelated to Bigham and other things, but I'm hearing about other stuff happening within Red Bull at the moment that I'm sworn to secrecy on. But I have a good sense about that team, and there's also all sorts of rumors about SL9 coming and all this year. And
I have two thoughts. One, isn't that a really old cork?
It is, yeah, it is.
Really old cork. So we're looking at this image of all the sort of instrumented Specialized
wires. There's lots of
wires.
Like me, there's just wires all over the bike.
So they got an old cork on there, and then I think the thing that is really going to speed them up in 2026 is if you lube your brakes.
Prevent slowing down.
Yeah, you're going to be flying. So he's spraying something into the brake caliper. I think it's probably cleaner. But I couldn't avoid.
Recommend you don't do.
Don't do that. I just couldn't avoid the sort of easy dumb joke.
We're
there.
making tech jokes now.
My concern,
we have multitudes.
My concern here is that Dan Bigham has immediately one-upped me on the tire testing, because it's either frame compliance or it's something to do with tires that they're measuring here.
There's a lot of plugs happening. Yeah. Okay, I mean, the good news though about that, Ronan, is that even if he's one-upped you on the tire testing, it will be entirely proprietary and no one else will ever know.
But the bad news for you, Kaylee, is that that's now in my mind, and so I'm going to be submitting an expense claim for a similar system.
Nope. I want a leaderboard, Ronan. we have a mission.
Patience.
All right, let's take another quick break. When we come back, we are talking tires. If you aren't that type of person,
with the promise that you aren't allowed to ask me anything about the tire testing that is covered in the Geek Warning and Performance Process podcast.
Okay, I can guarantee you I will not.
Yeah, you didn't wait for me to finish. You didn't wait for me to finish my sentence there. I was gonna say, if you are not the type of person that would normally stick around for this segment, just know that this is going to be a bit different because we need Johnny to understand.
And Ronan, I've been learning about tires, mate.
Wow. All right, we'll be right back. Welcome back, everybody. All right. So, why don't we'll do this as like we'll do a pre-quiz. Remember in school you do a pre-quiz so the teacher could figure out like what you already knew, right? So, like for example, if you were in high school geology class, they might ask you what the Mohs hardness scale is prior to and then post. You learning about the Mohs hardness scale. Let's do that now.
Well, let's get Ronan. Maybe let's give him 30 seconds. We've got a counter up here to explain the past 12 months of his life with this type.
No, I want to find out what you know first.
Of his tire testing.
Yeah. So Johnny, what if you have 15 seconds to describe what Ronan's tire testing is right now?
I tried to get out of that. Okay. I saw the featured image didn't give much away. I'll give him that.
Yeah.
And all I'd seen was that the numbers were outlined in white, and I know that he was doing stuff at night and during the day, so I reckon there was some sort of heat testing going on of how tires perform. And I went to the comments before reading the actual article because that's what normal people do, and I saw people talking about whether Formula One, like keeping the tires warm before the race would ever happen. So I knew it was about like maybe performance with heat and any marginal gains from that. That's all I know.
There's that
not
phrase.
Too far off.
Okay.
Not too far off.
Ronan
all right,
trying
so now
to
Ronan.
that phrase earlier in this podcast, and now you've just said it, Johnny.
Yeah.
Which one?
Marginal gains.
Marginal gains.
Ah.
Yeah. All right, so now Ronan, let's throw it over to you. So this testing, you started this 9 months ago. Was it 9 months ago?
Magical night.
When I started writing the article, it was 8 months ago. And when I finished writing the article, it was 9. So I had to go back and change all the 8s to 9s.
So you started this 9 months ago. It finally came out this week. It is. I mean, I'll say it. It is the best. it's the best testing of tire testing anywhere, right? There's tire testing that happens elsewhere. There's tire testing that happens on sort of these big roller drum things that tell you how. Basically, the goal is how fast is this tire compared to this tire, and what you were testing was not specifically like a Pirelli tire versus a Continental tire versus a Vittoria tire.
Not yet.
You were testing, not yet. We will get to that. You were testing across a range of Pirellis, across a range of sizes, and you were using much maths to determine which setup was fastest. And you were doing various configurations. You were doing not only different tire size, you were also doing different tire pressure. So each size, you know,
I can help you out here if you want, you know.
Yeah, go for it. Well, I'm trying to explain for you so you can then answer the questions. Otherwise, you're going to monologue for like 15 minutes here.
No,
right?
I could have wrapped that up in saying I tested 6 different tire widths across
Yes.
3 different surfaces at 3 different tire pressures.
Wow.
Oof.
That's the most succinct you've ever been.
I've had a lot of practice recently.
Okay.
So I think the most interesting thing about this for the spin cycle audience in particular is not so much about how exactly you do this. If you want that, there's a big long podcast in it's in the member feed, it's in the Geek Warning feed, it's in the Performance Process feed. You can get it. You can also read the story, which I think is worth doing. I think let's just talk about the outcomes here, or what the takeaways for you. There's a couple kind of headlines I think that we can kind of work our way through. The first is actually what Johnny was referring to, which is that temperature had a very large impact on essentially how fast a tire was. And at first, this was actually confusing to you and John, who you're doing the testing with, because you didn't realize that it was doing this. And so you thought that your data were bad, right? But it turns out once you sort of fully crunched everything and you started to correlate back to changes in temperature, because you're testing at midnight, you're testing in the morning, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Where temperatures were changing dramatically, you realize that this was the case. So explain to me why, and then what maybe so the ramifications of this are, like what you think might change in tire tech.
Yeah, so that the temperature effects that we've found are both new and not really new, because we've known for a long time that as temperatures drop and rubber hardens because of that, then your rolling resistance is likely going to increase. Previously, the correction that we had for that was sort of based on, between 20 and 30 degrees Celsius, you might get a 10 to 13% change in rolling resistance. What hadn't been done before was testing down to the temperatures that I ended up accidentally testing at, because I had chosen testing late at night when there would be less traffic and pedestrian interruptions. It meant I was testing through, as the sun went down, the temperatures were decreasing, so it was getting colder. And I ended up testing right down to like 5 degrees Celsius. And what we found was that 10 to 13% change doesn't hold up. It actually increases from 20 down to 10 degrees Celsius, so about 50 Fahrenheit. You end up with something like a 25% increase in rolling resistance in the tires,
which is massive.
That's mad.
Huge. Well, I mean, it gets bigger again from 10 to 5. Then we estimate it's about 40% increase. So like that's you could be talking about 20 watts here, in ideal versus worst case scenario on some of the tires we tested. Now, what we don't know is this effect exclusive to the tires that we were testing from Pirelli? Is it constant across all tires? We don't know. That's something we plan to answer. But I mean, it is, I think, a very important finding, because at first, basically what I was doing was I had one set of tires that was the baseline for all of my testing. So every time I wanted to test a different tire width or a different pressure, that test was bookended by what we call a baseline repeat. And the idea is that your baseline repeats should all give you the same result. Should all give you the same drag figure. And we were finding that they weren't. And what we know now is that as temperatures were dropping, the drag, which we are fairly certain was rolling resistance, was going up. And then later in the cycle, as I was testing in the morning, through increasing ambient temperatures, the rolling resistance was going down. And then lo and behold, one of the tests I did in the middle of the day with constant temperatures, the repeats were repeating. So yeah, it's something that I personally think might lead to, like, it would make sense that if you could tweak the rubber compound and have it perform better in colder conditions, you could have a Spring Classic specific tire. And so that's kind of where performance, like right now, knowing that doesn't really change much because you can't control the ambient temperature. But it does explain a lot of things. Also explains why, the Christmas 10-mile time trial you do is so much slower than the summer 10-mile time trial you do.
That's the explanation for sure.
Yeah, well, I mean, there are differences in air density in that as well that also affect it. There's less traffic on the roads on St. Stephen's Day or Boxing Day. But yeah, now we know also that you could be looking at a significant penalty just in your tires because they're colder.
I can almost guarantee that we're going to see cold weather tires. Like,
I mean, for Remco already had the rain tires a couple of years ago, and I kind of wonder if maybe that was, if they were already onto this, they hadn't said anything about it. But
I mean, you're talking about a change, like it's a 20-watt change or whatever, right? Like that's the difference between a nice race tire and like a really bad training tire, right?
Oh, yeah.
Like that's the kind.
It's probably more
or more. Yeah, probably more. So you're talking about like, okay, so just because it's cold out, you are now running like slow bad tires, even if you've got really nice tires on. And so I think tire manufacturers would be insane not to try to solve that problem. Right?
One of the questions I've got most often since we published this yesterday was, I wonder if the slower winter training tires are actually better and do they degrade less with colder temperatures? They maybe don't maintain their performance enough that they overtake summer faster tires, but maybe they just don't decline as much.
Yeah, my thought was like, do like cotton sidewall tires? Does it impact them less, for example, because there's less sort of rubber to get hard on the side of the tire? I think there's a whole bunch of questions that this does bring up. But Johnny, you had a question.
I've got a question. Maybe to just bring it back to the core principles. What is it then about the cold weather that makes it slower? What's going on with the tire and the road and the temperature?
I mean, I can only tell you what I understand of it, and I haven't actually gone out to find the answer. I've just gone out and got the results, or the explanation. Sorry, is what I haven't got. But it's got to be something to do with dropping temperatures. The rubber in the tire gets harder. We know that as temperatures decrease, rubber will get harder, and so that's
So it's called hysteresis, which is basically every time you bend the rubber in a tire, you take energy. It takes energy to do that, right? So as the rubber gets harder, it takes more energy to bend the tire, and as it's rolling along, you think about it like on the ground. It's the tire is bending in on itself at the bottom of your tire constantly, right? So whatever piece of the tire is touching the ground, it's basically increased. It's increasing the energy loss as the tire.
Can we have found a way to make
It's also how that deflection and how it snaps back, but I'm going to resist diving into that.
We're not. Yeah, that's it.
Go to the Geek Warning podcast.
Yeah,
I feel like with more preparation, we could have made the Mohs hardness scale somehow relevant the way you just did with this scientific process. So I'm impressed with that.
I think the geologists out there who all messaged me after that episode to say thank you for giving the Mohs hardness scale.
Yeah,
they feel seen. I'm now going to ruin that by saying that I think you probably could could apply the Mohs hardness scale in a way to say that applicable. It's applicable everywhere.
Well, Ronan, well done. That sounds, even from my limited understanding, that sounds pretty big.
Yeah.
So I'm excited to see what happens.
There's one other sort of headline out of it that I wanted to talk about.
There's more.
So there's the temperature thing. There is. Well, there's way more. There's like 5 more things we can talk about. But the other interesting one to me was this idea that the sort of bigger, fatter tire at a lower pressure was going to be a higher performance item or combination for a lot of people. And I think that was really quite disproven. And then one of the interesting points around that was that if you go to a tire that's in the sort of 32-ish kind of range, the optimal pressure, at least for you, I think you said your total sort of system weight, you plus your bike was like 85 kilos or something.
85.
So for you, then the optimal pressure from a performance standpoint, so going as fast as possible on a 32 mil tire, which is a frequently used tire these days, particularly even in racing, right? Like we've seen 32s in high level racing.
Measured 32, the tire that we had that measured 32 was the label said 30, but yeah. Sorry.
Right. I'm talking measured.
Yeah.
The recommended pressure for that was, for example, over the limit of a hookless system. This is a really fundamental, it's a really fundamental. Yeah, because it's interesting. Because we've got all these wheels now, and we've been told, you go fatter, you go lower. You go fatter, you go lower. It's going to stay fast. It's going to stay high performance. You basically prove that that's not true. And if you are racing and you care about the performance aspect, which I personally don't, I'm going to go run my 32 or 34 mil tires at 58 because that's where I want to. That's what's comfortable and nice. But if I was racing, I'm 5-6 kilos lighter than you, my optimal pressure would also be right at or over that hookless limit, which really it supports what we've talked about, you and I, a lot, which that these wheels, they have a place in cycling, fine, but they are not fundamentally, and I don't think they can be considered high performance like road wheels anymore, right? Am I overstating that?
I don't think you're overstating it, but I think it makes it sound like the manufacturers of hookless rims have been lying to us, and I don't think they have, because I think you could find a road where actually, the roughness is sufficient that the wider tires at lower pressures do come into their own. Like cobblestones, gravel, there are use cases where we haven't tested, and there are pressures that we haven't tested where I can't say that the performance doesn't exist there because I haven't tested it, but certainly for the roads that I race on, for the surfaces we chose, one of which was brand new, smooth as you can get, tarmac, one was medium fair, we've described it as old chip seal, and one was what I've described as a rough road, but your rough road may vary. But still, no, it's a rough enough road that I will tend to avoid that stretch and ride on the parallel dual carriageway that is very, very busy with traffic, just to avoid how rough it is.
Right.
And through our testing, what we've found is, yes, the hardest of the three pressures that I tested, 75 PSI, 5.1 bar, all the tires were trending towards their speed optimal at that pressure. Now, there are still other reasons that you would choose to run lower pressures, and the worst performing tire in this test was the 35 mil. It's still probably the tire that I would choose for training on a daily basis, and I would run it at maybe 50 psi, which was one of the worst performing pressures, because it's just so much more
it's nice,
enjoyable to ride. Yes, nice. Yeah, it's just comfortable. It's far more grip. It's far more enjoyable. On the 40 mil tire at the lowest pressure, this rough road, you start to barely notice it anymore versus when you ride it on a 26 at a harder pressure. So there are reasons why you would still do that, but come race day, this sort of confirmed my suspicions all along that yes, the hookless limit as it is currently set wouldn't allow me to run my optimal pressure. And the scary thing about that is that, first of all, I still meet people on a regular basis who don't realize they're riding hookless tires and hookless wheels. Sorry, I shouldn't say hookless tires. They don't realize they're on hookless wheels, and they're overinflating the tires, and there is a risk associated with that. And the fear I have around the story that I've just written is that people might ignore those hookless limits and overinflate tires on those hookless rims, and you really, really should not do that.
Right.
Your teeth are your own responsibility.
So Johnny, did any of that? Does that make sense?
Do you care?
Yeah.
I enjoyed the heat thing, the hookless thing. I've sat through a number of conversations with you guys off and on mic about hookless, and that's one day in the future when I'm old, I'll learn about that.
Do we think Johnny's test bike has hookless? I don't think it does.
No way.
No way.
It has tubeless.
That's more than. Hookless is a step.
I mean, it's a gravel bike, first of all, so he's not going to be.
It doesn't matter. Yeah. You're not going to be running 75 psi in that bike. Yeah. Ever.
But I mean, just to wrap.
Johnny's like, wait, I shouldn't be running 75 psi in that bike. inflate it to whatever the number on the side of the tire is, Johnny. Don't do that.
What one bit of housekeeping I have to do is I have to note also, because there will be people listening to this who will be calling out that the 35 and the 40mm version of the tires that I have from Pirelli are not identical in construction to the 26, the 28, the 30, and the 32. We do know that. We also know that the 24mm inner rim width on the Princeton Carbon Works wheels that I used was not ideal for most of these tires, but there are pros and cons to all the choices you make in testing like this. Ultimately, what we were doing here was not necessarily looking for definitives in terms of performance takeaways. This was a proof of concept for the testing that we're going to be doing going forward. And if we could get accurate and repeatable results with 6 tires over 3 surfaces and 3 different tire pressures over 8 or 9 months, then we are confident going forward that we can do the relatively easier job of comparing a tire to another tire at one pressure on one stretch of road.
So that's the plan. So for those who are like, so those are sitting out there and going, this is all interesting, but like, what is it? I just want to know what's fast, right? That's what's coming. So you should go sign up.
This is just the start.
This is just
the terrifying thing, Johnny. This is just the
start. What have you done to yourself? You've opened the ark.
I've done a warm-up.
So, okay, my final question is...
Kaylee wanted all this, by the way.
Is it now
Thank you to our members who made 9 months worth of testing possible.
Yes. And thanks also to John Buckley and everybody at Streamlines Aero who made this possible as well. Without their system, without their online test portal, without all the work they put into this, literally, I cannot say that this wouldn't have happened. Or cannot state clearly enough that this wouldn't have happened.
Is it now just tires forever, or like there was a thing in there where you said, "Oh, my suspicions were confirmed," like of things that you then tested and found out? Is there what other general areas are you suspicious of where things may not be what they seem? What else is rattling around in there, or are you just now down the tire tunnel and there's no
tires? Johnny, tires are forever, not just Christmas.
Really? Is that true? Well, I hope they're not for Christmas. That is such a depressing thought.
If I woke up to tires on Christmas morning, I probably would be slightly excited.
I think your kids have a 50% chance of waking up to tires on Christmas morning.
Maybe greater.
I better get some in the post.
Rachel listens
to
this
tires.
podcast, so I should probably say I do not want tires for Christmas.
So just tires, okay.
For now, Johnny, we got other plans. But yeah, I mean, the idea is that we build a database of how fast various tires are, and it's nothing is perfect ever, right? There's always going to be caveats, but we think we've got a test that is better than any drum test, better than any roll down test, better than any Chung method alone kind of test.
I want to say there are pros and cons to every type of testing. The drum testing, if you just looked at the results from drum testing from the past 20 years and then looked at our results, you wouldn't be surprised at all. It's just some of the other narratives and trends that have happened over the past 10 years that make our results seem confusing, but they're sort of confirmed by drum testing. But drum testing only looks at rolling resistance. What I wanted to know was what happens in the real world when you combine rolling resistance and aero properties of a tire. And the ultimate aim here is to be able to bring objective measures to an overall subjective review of a tire. And so things like grip and puncture resistance and how good they look will still be an important part of a review. And that's kind of, I think that's, Johnny, you're asking what else we could do. We do have other plans for similar testing, but and they may well be intended to bring objective measures to other reviews also. But what we're not going to do is just go and do some testing purely to get an answer so that we can publish a piece that that is maybe not as rigorous in terms of controls and that we have here. So I mean, I think I'm not making a very good attempt at describing that, but the motivation here isn't to simply produce a tire leaderboard here. The motivation is to get a result that not just get a result, but get a result that we know is trustworthy or accurate.
Just quickly, I have an addendum question. Is it just tires an easy thing to test or like an important? No, not easy. Sorry, that was
9 months, Johnny.
No. Not easy. Like they're like the most obvious thing to test because there's like contact with the ground. It's like such an obvious thing that is so changeable and subjective.
The reason I picked tires to start with, and the original promise was we were going to aero test bikes, and the reason I picked tires then and not helmets or skin suits or other things is because everything else is very, very rider dependent. And now tires are road dependent, but they're the most consistent thing I could think of that would perform similar for you as they would for me. Versus if we put a skin suit on me and a skin suit on you,
the horror.
I think we gotta wrap it. We gotta wrap it. That's enough.
Sorry.
No, you know why? Because you got to go read the story, and you got to become a member to read the story and get all the information. We've given them enough. We've given the free listeners enough. You got to go sign up, escapecollective.com/join. Not only for what Ronan has uncovered in this piece, but you need to be already signed up when we get this leaderboard going, so you can find out what the fastest tires are. It's an important thing. We need to head to After Dark.
Got a couple of things in there.
We do. And before we get there, we have more new lifetime members to thank.
Oh, nice.
We actually have a pile of them. I'm going to spread them out though. We're going to do we're going to do one today, and we're going to do another one in the next episode, another one in the next episode. So you wait your turn. Today, I want to thank Nicolas Debouillon. Apologies if I've butchered that. I think you are French based on the name. But yeah, thank you to Nicolas. We really appreciate everybody who becomes a lifetime member. We often get the question, like, what's better for Escape, me being a lifetime member or just sort of continuing your annual? The answer is really, it's up to you. Both are great for us, right? We hugely appreciate our lifers. It's an injection of money that we will never say no to, obviously. But at the same time, if you're an annual member, that recurring revenue is very important to this business as well. So it's really up to you. We have had a ton of people reaching out about this. If you have questions about becoming a lifetime member, it's a bit of a manual process. But if you email me, editor@escapecollective.com.
It means a lot when people do that because it's a lot of money. So
it's a lot of money, and it's
an extra sort of like injection of like, okay, we're doing something that matters. So it does feel good when Andy pops it in Slack being like, sign up another one.
Yeah, like it's a real show of support, I think, for what we do. Like I said, in terms of like actual sort of finances, both are great. Members of all sorts are great.
One point on that though, if someone signs up as a lifetime member, the UCI are more likely to give us a World Tour license.
And Kaylee's
for more than a year,
or butcher your pronunciation of your name and assume your nationality. So
no, I actually secret. We confirmed with Nicola.
Okay,
because I don't want to say someone's name entirely wrong.
Okay,
because like if this person was from Minnesota, then their name would be Nicolas Debouillon.
Yeah.
Right.
And the Vikings already having a terrible season. So
exactly. So sorry about your Vikings, Nicolas. All right, let's head into After Dark. Thank you again to all of our lifetime members. We really appreciate you. Thank you to all of our members. Period. We appreciate your support. Your membership goes directly to stuff like Ronan spending 9 months to completely change our understanding of performance tires.
It pays my phone bill so that then Ronan can send me photos of him just on a dark road at 2 a.m, which is more charming than I've just made it sound.
Wait, nobody has mentioned how like freaky and scary it was at times being out in the middle of nowhere and pitch dark at night on my own.
Yeah, imagine how more freaked out someone who came across you would feel.
Yeah, so I was worrying about other people, and then I realized I was the person to be worried
They're more
about.
afraid of you than you are of them.
You're like a bear. All right, let's head into After Dark. We've got baseball versus cricket.
Yay.
What else is in there?
Oh, we've got we've actually heard back. Do you remember the AirPod story, Johannes?
Yeah.
He got back to us.
Oh, there you go. Updates.
Yeah, updates.
All right. Let's head into After Dark.